Hello guys, I'm Tim Langston with Red Dog Bushcraft, and today we're going to haft this point. This is a arrowhead made out of stone. It's a piece of chert. We're going to haft it onto this shaft, which is a piece of river cane that's been dried in the garage for actually a couple of months now. We've got some deer sinew that we're going to use to help attach that, and also our wilderness glue that we made, some pine pitch in this can, and some glue that we made up. We made this glue, you can see a previous video, from pine pitch, some rabbit droppings, and a little bit of coal left over from the fire. Coal, not ash. The mixture on this was 50% pine glue, 25% rabbit droppings, and 25% coal. It comes out a little stiff. It works great as far as an adhesive goes, but I think we're going to have to take some pine pitch, add this to it, and water it down a little bit to complete the project for today. I'll get a fire going, we'll start melting this stuff up, and I'll keep you with me as we go through the process. Okay, what I've done now is I've cut my shaft to length, and I've gone in one end and I've done a notch, and here's a nodule in that river cane, so I've held back from that a little bit and put me a notch so that I can use that as my knot. And here I've placed my point. I've also cut this piece of river cane out, and I've got it to where the point fits in there. It's pretty snug, but you can get it in and out. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to dip it down into my my glue and place my arrowhead where I want it. Try to really get it down in there, down in the base. Got to work pretty quick. Stuff starts to dry pretty fast. Heat that up a little bit. And then we're going to go ahead and place our arrowhead back in it. Let that glue squeeze out. Get it just right where we want it. Let that glue kind of get around that outside edge. Alright, you get the idea, and I'll be right back as soon as we get that smoothed out a little bit. Okay, while that's drying, let's talk a little bit about what we're going to use for string. Now, we could always use some bank line, and you can break this down. There's 3 strands in there and make that small enough. Use the inner cords of the paracord. Jute twine will break down and work well, and even some of your fishing line out of your fishing kit. But today, what we're going to use is some sinew. What I'm going to do is you simply take a rock and very lightly start hitting this stuff, and it breaks up in strands. You can also dip it in a cup of water. That'll soften it up where you can start using it once you pull it apart. I'll tie this into small fine sections, make some long strings out of it, and we'll use that as a wrap. We'll wrap both the arrowhead side and the knock side. Alright, I had to get out of that sun. I couldn't fight it anymore. But here's some of that deer sinew, and it's been broken down a little bit. And what you can do to get it the size you want is just pinch it with your fingernails. And then as you pull it apart, just be careful and keep it between the strands. Just handle it gentle. Take your time and your patience with it. Split it apart and then put it in some water and soak it, and we're going to tie all these together as a string. Okay, the small pieces of sinew just weren't showing up on the camera. So look, here's a little bit bigger piece, and all we did was we took one strand and a second strand and we tied them in a knot together, and we'll clean up these edges. And of course, like I said, what I'm using is actually much smaller than this, but it's just not visible on the camera. Between the camera and the sunshine today and no shade, it's really hindering my ability. I hope I'm explaining it well. Okay, here's our point hafted, and what I've done is I went around a couple of times, kind of formed a clove hitch the best I could, put a little pine resin glue over top of it, and then I would come across and come over this side, around one time, back over the opposite side, and just back and forth so that I'm pulling it equal on both sides, trying to keep it straight. Coated it all in pine resin again. Don't worry about that pine resin on the rock itself, it'll clean right up. Just make sure you get a good even coat all the way around. Sometimes it starts to gob up, so I hold it over the heat, let it start to drop and run, and turn it like this to even it back out, and that seems to be working pretty well.